Okay, what if I told you two of the fiercest rivals in gaming just accidentally struck a massive $435 million gold mine? And the craziest part? They did it by doing absolutely nothing new. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving right into the incredible economics behind the PlayStation 5 shadow drop of Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and 2. We're going to break down exactly how legacy catalog mining turned into an absolute windfall for Sony and Microsoft, and why dusting off 14-year-old code is literally disrupting the entire industry right now.
$435 million. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the gross consumer spending these two gaming titans generated in under 28 days. And here's the real kicker. They pulled this off on games that are over a decade old, with zero, and I mean absolutely $0 spent on marketing. We're talking about an unannounced, straight-to-storefront release. One day they weren't there, the next day they were, and boom, this commercial milestone actually rivals the full-year sales totals of major, brand-new releases like Forza Horizon 6, and it happened virtually overnight.
So, how exactly do you move over 11 million units of classic games without a massive ad campaign? Well, it all comes down to this concept called catalog mining. Basically, it's the unaltered software conversion and monetization of archival intellectual property. Think of it like a highly lucrative strategy for unlocking value from a publisher's back catalog without the crushing burden of building something completely from scratch. Instead of spending 5 years trying to reinvent the wheel, publishers are realizing, hey, let's just open the vault and let players buy the exact same wheel they fell in love with a decade ago. It's a strategy with explosive financial potential. Section 1: Economics of Catalog Mining. Let's take a look at how this strategy built an absolute financial windfall for both Sony and Microsoft.
Now, this revenue split is honestly wild to look at. Microsoft walked away with over $304 million. That's a 70% net share, which effectively funds a huge chunk of their operational costs across their Xbox first-party studios. But then, look at Sony. They secured $130 million in pure profit. And what did they do for that? They just hosted the game on the PlayStation Store. Zero development overhead, zero marketing expenses. Just by acting as the digital store host, their standard 30% platform fee yielded the kind of revenue you'd normally expect from a massive AAA blockbuster release.
And here is where the math gets really crazy, and honestly, it's exactly why publishers are salivating right now. The development team over at Iron Galaxy managed to deliver these direct 1080p conversions for under $5 million. That tiny upfront cost generated a staggering return on investment of over 8,000%. It's almost absurd, right? Especially when you compare it to a full-engine remake where you're rebuilding assets from the ground up. Those can easily cost anywhere from $150 to $250 million, and they carry extremely high risk and slow capital recovery. This shadow drop proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you don't always need a costly graphical reboot for players to re-engage with the franchises they love.
Looking at the actual sales breakdown, Black Ops 2 was the heavy hitter, moving 8.2 million units, largely on the PS5, and generating $325 million all by itself. Black Ops 1 followed up with a very respectable 3 million units sold. But check this out. Even the $30 DLC map bundles sold over 2 million packs. That added another $63 million to the pot. It just goes to show that the player base wasn't just downloading the base games for a quick hit of nostalgia, they were heavily investing in the complete, old-school experience, creating a massive, high-margin revenue stream.
Which brings us to Section 2: Why players chose nostalgia. So what was it? Why did over 11 million players rush out to buy totally untouched versions of games that originally dropped in 2010 and 2012?
Honestly, we just wanted that authentic nostalgia. Players prioritized the original, unadulterated gunplay and movement over all the modern tweaks. They wanted that classic zombies mode without the bloated progression systems we see today. Combine that pure gameplay with a rock-solid, locked 60 frames per second at native 1080p and virtually zero loading times thanks to modern SSDs, it's a winning formula. And the pricing strategy was just genius, giving PlayStation Plus subscribers an irresistible $20 promotional price instead of the standard $40. That made it a total no-brainer impulse buy for millions of people.
Section 3: The exclusivity debate settled. Let's talk about how this multi-million-dollar performance completely changes the industry rulebook. Because let's be real, that $435 million basically settles the ongoing debate right then and there. Microsoft simply cannot and will not make Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive. From a purely fiduciary perspective, walking away from PlayStation's massive install base means literally leaving hundreds of millions of dollars on the table.
This success firmly proves that PlayStation users are a massively lucrative audience for Activision's flagship games, and that multi-platform collaboration is, without a doubt, the most profitable model in gaming right now. Even the senior industry analysts hit the nail on the head here. As they pointed out, straight digital catalog mining carries vastly lower risk and way higher profit margins than rolling the dice on a $200 million full-scale remake. Microsoft and Sony didn't just share a player base. They shared a wildly lucrative financial reality that basically guarantees ongoing Activision support for Sony hardware. They generated hundreds of millions virtually overnight. You just can't argue with those numbers.
All right, Section 4, the future of retroports. With this precedent firmly set, what does the roadmap look like from here?
Well, the ripple effect is going to be huge across the board. For Microsoft and Activision, you can absolutely expect to see them leaning hard into expanded catalog releases on platforms like the PS5 and the upcoming Switch 2. For developers, we're likely going to see a major pivot away from those risky, big-budget remakes, favoring these highly profitable straight archival ports instead. And for the community, it's the best news possible. It means jumping back into highly populated, classic lobbies without modern skill-based matchmaking. It's a win for publisher profit margins and a massive win for us players.
And it looks like they are already gearing up for round 2. Industry reports are already suggesting that Activision is prepping to shadow drop Black Ops 3 and the original Modern Warfare 2. But there is an even bigger, more strategic play happening here. These legacy ports are acting as the absolute perfect promotional ramp to build hype for Modern Warfare 4, which releases this October. It's a masterclass in brand engagement, honestly, using these beloved past hits to perfectly set the stage for the future. So that leaves us with a pretty massive question to think about. After unpacking these insane $435 million economics, are straight 1080p ports the new gold rush of modern gaming? And considering the sheer volume of beloved classics just sitting in the vault, what archival game do you think they'll shadow drop next? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope you found it as fascinating as I did. See you next time.